Alright, in this video we're going to talk about how to break down the suspension in a crf150r. Break it all the way down so we can change out our oil seals. Get it from here to like this. Alright, first thing you want to do is get your fork out of your triple clamp. Make sure you get the brake caliper off, the wheels off, all that. Once you get it out, go ahead and bleed the air out of your shock. Right here. You can keep the bleed screw out, and it doesn't really matter at this point. Another tip would be to maybe have the bottom clamps on tight at first, and you go ahead and just break loose this top cap up here, and this is done with a 17mm. All right, now that you're at this point, what you're gonna do is you're gonna take that 17mm, go ahead, loosen up your cap. All right, go over the drain pan and get out a majority of the oil right here. Yeah, it's pretty nasty oil. Alright, when you get a majority of the oil drained, it's a lock nut right here underneath this cap. Let's see right there. It's a 14mm. You're gonna want to go ahead, let's see, maybe orient it, get a 14mm lock nut and remove the cap. This cheating way you can do is just put on the ground. There we go. Another thing to note that I didn't mention is the clickers. You want to make sure the clickers are all the way out, keeping in mind what your settings are so you can set it back. So clicker up top, clicker on the bottom. All right, now when you take this cap off, you're gonna have a long rod that can come out as well. And it's gonna have a tip at the end. Okay, if you don't ruin that, put that off to the side. Now you can take your spring off. Go ahead and make sure you get all that oil out again. You might get some more oil that comes out. Just keep pumping it until you get all that oil out. Alright. Alright, at this point, you want to take the dust boot off. It's right here. Be careful you don't strike your lower fork. Go and wedge a screwdriver in, pick whatever you got. So your dust boot's gonna come down, and then you're gonna have a retainer ring. Retaining ring right inside there. Actually, the camera does adjust it, but once again, make sure you're not striking your lower fork. Alright. So you got your dust seal off, or down, retaining ring down. The oil's out of your fork. Now it's time to get the oil seal. The oil seal is pretty simple. All you're gonna do is just hit it up. There we go. Outer tube, oil seal, washer, bushing, Teflon bushing. I'm gonna make sure this Teflon bushing has really no copper coming through, so this one's actually pretty good. I went ahead and got new ones because I didn't think they're gonna be that good, but yep, at this point now, you're gonna want to take this Teflon bushing off. There's a slit on the side of it. Go ahead and take a flathead screwdriver. Careful not to ruin the Teflon bushing. Go ahead and just separate it. Pushing it up over the fork. Alright. Second bushing should slide up over. Washer, oil seal, clip, and dust boot. Now you have your fork completely disassembled, ready to install new oil seal, dust seals. If you need to install new Teflon washers, this will be the time to do it. Alright, now back to reinstalling the new oil seal, dust seal, all the bushings. Alright, you're going to take your lower fork right here. You're going to take some electric tape and you're going to cover all these sharp areas so you don't ruin your new dust seal, and oil seal rather. Now they sell a tool that does essentially the same thing. It's a little bullet rather that just slides on, but honestly that's just a waste of money. Electrical tape does the same thing. Alright, so first up, first thing that goes on is the new dust seal. Take some fork oil, just lube it up. I'm gonna put that on over. Just work it over it. Next, you have your clip, followed by the new oil seal. And just like the dust seal, we'll go ahead and put some fork oil on the inside, help it slide over. And make sure you have the right orientation on this too. So this side will be down, this side will be up. You can also tell on the inside you'll have 2 grooves cut, and that's the top side. 2 grooves on the high side, 1 groove on the bottom. Just going to work this on. Alright. At this point, you can go ahead and you can take the electric tape off. Put on your new or this is the same one, washer. I replaced the bushings. This is a new bushing. And Teflon bushing. Now on this one, this is a new one as well, but if you're using the same, your old one, you want to check the whole Teflon and make sure there's no copper coming out or showing. This one, like I said, is new, so we'll just put this on and it'll clip right in place, right in that, right there. Alright, just clip it on. At this point, you're going to take your top part of your fork, slide it over. You're going to flip the whole assembly upside down. You'll see how the bushing and the washer is already in there. So the next one to go is going to be your oil seal. Take your oil seal, go ahead and get it down as far as you can. You're not going to get it down all the way in place. You're going to end up needing an oil seal driver, which is this. Oil seal drivers have all different sizes. So this one, 35, 36 is what I'm using. But yeah, you'll take this and you'll go ahead and hit that oil seal back into place. Once it's all back in place, what you're doing is trying to clear that groove in there so your clip can go in. Once it's in place, go ahead and install your clip. Let's see, is it all the way in? There you go, you heard that, I'll clip back in. Alright, that's fully seated now, fully in there. Next up is your dust boot. That one's super simple, no tools required. You just take it, hit it down into place just like that. That's fully seated. All right, next up, what you're going to do is you're going to stop filling up oil. So it's roughly around 350 cc's. The manual says to start with. You're going to take half of that, pour on the outside of the shaft. Once that's half full, you're gonna go ahead and pour the remaining inside, right in the middle of the shaft until it flows out. Once it flows out, you want to pump it several times, 8 to 10 times roughly, bleeding all the air out. At that point, after all the air is bled out, you want to get a measurement. You want to measure from the top of this rim to the oil level. It should be right around 5.5 inches. Yeah, from the top of the oil to the top of the fork, 5.5 inches. Once you have that, you'll install your spring, as so, and then your damping rod. You'll install the damping rod. That'll get put in there. You utilize the 14mm lock nut and the 17mm cap, and you'll torque that down, and then it's good to go to install back on the bike.